A very warm welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Michelle de Klerk. I'm the founder of the Women's Chapter, and this event is part of our Women-Led Wonder series. We are talking to Lydia Roscoe, who's the founder of A Beautiful Life. She's one of our amazing members. Very, very, very honored to have you here with us this morning, Lydia. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for having me, and thank you everyone for joining.
And Lydia and I were just talking before we started this because her concept is a curated platform for British beauty brands. And I was just saying to her that it's amazing that this didn't exist before because it's such a much needed platform for independent brands to have an extra voice and that additional level of exposure in the market to move their products, but also for us as consumers to have that place that we can go to where these collections of best-selling beauty products by British brands and wellness products are all curated by Lydia. But Lydia, I would like to hand over to you just to tell us a little bit more about the concept and A Beautiful Life so we can hear it from you in your words.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've kind of explained it sort of. I mean, effectively it is that it's British brands, so it's not, you know, you don't have to be 100% made in Britain or anything other than being a British brand sort of based in Britain. And it's really to sort of encourage the British beauty industry and encourage people to sort of work on this economy and kind of really encourage people to do that, because it was very key to me. So many sort of Kardashians and L'Oreals of this world were sort of dominating. And when I spoke to people who aren't in the industry, I mean, a lot of my friends are in this industry, so I've had invaluable advice, but a lot of people said that it's a natural thing when you go online to buy products and 200 products come up to just go for the ones you know, which is your L'Oreals and your Estee Lauders and everything else, and they're not necessarily the best products, and I can genuinely say that. I mean, I use some of them. I'm wearing Estee Lauder as we speak because it's from way back, but there's so many great products that are undiscovered, and it's really looking around in all the magazines. There's, you know, it's added to the category, so best British brand is added. There's articles about the best British beauty brands. It's really a topic of discussion, and people are looking to discover brands closer to home. Albeit online, it's still, people want to actually support brands closer to home. So the end goal, although we're still very new, we're not even a year old, is to sort of spread the word that this is a platform where they can come. And I guess the key word for me is discover all of these British brands that have such amazing products, and educate them that they're not sort of made in your kitchen sink and sold at sort of, you know, little markets and things, that the technology is really fantastic. The products are super high quality, that, you know, when I tried so many of them and they've just been incredible. So from starting this journey to where we are now, it's been incredible for me in terms of I've discovered so many incredible products, but also I've met so many incredible women and some men, obviously, who really have invested everything into creating these wonderful products and just need that extra support to sort of get the word out there and tell people about their incredible products. So that's the end goal, really, is to get the word out there and get people using British beauty products.
So you're coming up for a year since you started, because you only started in early 2021. What has been, I guess, your key learnings over the last year? Because I should imagine, you know, firstly, starting a business in the time of pandemic is one thing, but also you have launched an e-commerce platform, which I know you are a long-standing industry expert in the beauty industry, but an e-commerce platform is not associated with your other business. What have you learned over the last year?
Well, I've used all the skills and learnings of the 25 years in this industry in so many different jobs. But I guess you learn so much, and you just, I mean, the key learning is you've just got to, if you don't know something, ask somebody who does, and use their advice and not be scared to ask for it. I've had some incredible freelancers. My web designer, for example, I was luckily recommended him, and he just got what I was hoping to achieve from the beginning, and I still use him for any sort of new updates. But I've just learned that you don't know everything at all, and you just have to ask for expert advice and listen to people. You know, that sometimes you have to admit that you don't know things, and actually know that people know better than you. You know, which, you know, I've always been open to that anyway, but I've had to call on so much advice with e-commerce. I mean, it's not something I've ever worked in, even, you know, as an employee. So it's a whole new world for me.
Because your other business in the beauty industry is a production company, right? So if you do a lot of filming and
yeah, I mean, where I'm sat now is the business I run with my husband, which is, we have TV studios which we hire out, so predominantly TV, but lots of sort of other ad agencies and training. So I've run that now for 9 or so years, just through meeting my husband and that being his industry, and been doing some video production for British beauty brands. You know, I work with Unilever and others on a lot of their corporate kind of global communications and things, and doing smaller beauty brands videos, which I think was what gave me the incentive, working with some of these smaller beauty brands and doing their video production for them, and getting to know all the troubles they were having, and just really enjoying being part of their team. You know, when you're creating the videos, you're working really closely with them on the concepts and what sort of videos they should produce. And I really, I guess, missed being part of that industry, and grabbed any opportunity to be part of their team and work with them and offer them advice. And so when it came to sort of this idea, it was so exciting for me just to get back in the industry and be doing what I know and love, I guess, because that's all I've ever done, is so many different jobs within beauty, but always within this industry.
And you now have 60 brands on your platform.
Yes, which everyone can't quite believe. And it's not just been me on the phone selling to people. I mean, a lot of the time, I mean, probably at least one inquiry a week from brands saying, we've discovered your website, we really want to be a part of it. And it's still a surprise to me, because these are brands that are in Harvey Nichols and Selfridges and incredible brands. And I'm like, are you sure? Sometimes at first I even doubted it, but they're so proud to be a British brand and really want to be a part of this kind of working together, all British brands coming together, which is what I really want to do. You know, I used to hate cliches, but it's one of my favorite ones now, that if we all come together, then we can all work hard together and not be scared to work with almost what you'd consider rivals in the past. That if we all come together to spread the word really about all of those products, it's a whole lot easier than just feigning away in the dark, which a lot of these brands are. They don't know the industry at all, so being able to work with lots of other people on the same journey as them,
yeah,
makes it a lot easier.
And so have you found yourself in this position where you're facilitating connections within this a beautiful life community really that you've created, of founders, and where they can really share knowledge with each other, which is a massive point of difference, I think, compared to any other e-commerce platform.
You know, I mean, a lot of sort of small independent businesses have come from a particular background. So they're either sort of pharmacists and scientists who've created these wonderful products, but have absolutely no idea when it comes to marketing, or, you know, even creating a website, anything that's outside kind of creating a product. So I'm constantly asked, you know, the nice thing is everyone loves the website, so I've put a lot of beauty clients towards my web designer, so he's got a lot of beauty brands on his books now. Just, you know, they're sort of, you know, how do I do this, where do I get that? And I'm literally constantly making recommendations of people who can help them. And on the phone a lot myself, I must admit, just as a sort of friendly ear to talk to that understands the problems they're going through and can offer advice. And half the time it's just motivation that they need to stick with it, that they've got a great product and it doesn't happen overnight, and they just need to keep strong and keep the belief in their products. I do a lot of that, which is just motivational.
And you obviously, I mean, I know you've tried all of the products, and you really kind of take a very personal approach to deciding which brands are featured. And you also featured just their best-selling products, which I think from a consumer perspective is also really helpful. We can, if we want to try a new brand, we can try their products, their hero product.
Yeah, it was something actually my sister sort of gave me the concept, really, because as I said, I've worked in this industry for 25 years. So most of my friends and associates are somehow connected to this industry and know it well. So when they're looking for products, they're probably slightly more knowledgeable. But people like my sister, who has no real interest in beauty whatsoever, she said to me, you know, she'd go on a site and look for an eye cream, for example, and click on that and 200 products would come up. And she wouldn't know where to start. And she would do that classic thing of, oh, well, L'Oreal must be good, I'll just order that. Because especially right now, people's money is really valuable. They're prepared to pay more. That's something that's coming through, but they want to be sure on what they're spending their money on. So by sort of saying to people that these products are already the best sellers, the hero products of these brands, that other customers have said these products are fantastic, and we've tried them ourselves, that we, you know, we're not going to put anything on our site that you can't trust. It's about building that trust with the consumer, that they can come to our site and trust that the products on there are good, which is why we write a review on each of them. And that's something we really want to expand on moving forward. We're actually, if any of you are interested, do apply. We're creating a beauty panel as such of about 6 or 8 people of different ages, ethnicities, skin types, so that we actually have a panel who can try, that it's not just me and, and my family trying things out, that actually it's a cross section of people who will try the products and be able to give a perspective on it too. So it's several opinions on a product, which will hopefully really help people's trust levels.
And what's your vision for A Beautiful Life going forward? I mean, if you, and I always hate that question about your 5-year plan or whatever, but if, you know, what's your ultimate vision if you had to daydream about where this could eventually go? What does it look like?
Well, just somewhere that everyone really knows and trusts, you know, that the support for British beauty is continuing to grow. You know, the last couple of years have really sort of strengthened that, but more and more so now. You walk down your high street, people are shopping at their local coffee shop rather than the big sort of Starbucks of this world. There is a real inclination to go more local. So we really want to spread on that. I've heard lots of horror stories about some of the bigger e-tailers. So we really want, you know, for those brands that are just being not even given a chance, or they've been in these retailers in store and online, and it's becoming so ruthless now that unless they can offer huge discounts, that they're literally just got rid of. So being able to provide a platform for those brands that aren't necessarily churning out huge volumes, that we still keep them on our site. There's no monthly fee or anything, so there's no loss for them, and really just provide that sort of network where people as a consumer can come and trust and really feel and know. I mean, it's consumer awareness that's our biggest challenge, but once that's my dream, really, for us to be known as one of the places to go if you want to shop for beauty products and you want to support British, that they know of us and they will come to us. And really I called it phase 1, which was launching it, because I sort of put the idea out there, and from January to March, in 3 months, we launched the whole company, the website, everything. And it was a huge challenge. So I just said, I've got all these ideas, and trust me, there's a list as long as my arm in terms of what I want to do. But it was phase 1 to just get the website up, start getting the word out there, And once we've sort of launched, video is obviously a key thing that's close to my heart and something I know. So video is going to be one of the next things, but again, not doing video just for the sake of doing video, which so many brands do, and something I've learned over the years. So when we do video, we want it to be different. We want it to be something that people are going to really enjoy watching. So it's very much not going to be this brand's like QVC, this brand's perfect kind of.
Yeah.
It's going to be brands coming together, so a hair care brand and a makeup brand, and taking someone who really needs support or help and offering them that, and people able to watch someone get that advice and help, again, to build that trust level on our website, really.
Well,
and just grow, you know, awareness, really.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's always the challenge, isn't it? And I think in terms of launching, and I see this with so many of our members and the other female founders that I know, is that, you know, a concept and taking it to market and building an e-commerce platform or platform for it is really only kind of the beginning.
Yeah.
Getting that awareness and building an audience and a community that really values what that's the tricky bit.
Yeah.
And it's something that you can never take your foot off the pedal. It needs to be something that you're focusing on in conjunction with all of the other developments and phases, I guess.
Yeah, I always feel like the PR for all of these brands a lot of the time, because they don't necessarily have huge budgets for huge PR and advertising campaigns. So there's a sort of, I guess, maybe I shouldn't, but I feel a certain responsibility to really help all of these brands to get the word out there by sort of doing things where we can bring people to our site where they can then discover those brands. So there's an extra motivation, I think, from me to do that, because so many, I'm one of them, I don't have huge investments and huge budgets to spend on advertising, and these brands don't.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's really, I mean, the beauty industry is incredibly competitive. So that's the end goal, really, that people can discover their brands on our site, and we can really help encourage that. But it's also very challenging, you know, trying to promote, you know, 60 brands is a lot harder than if you've got one product and you're trying to promote that to, you know, the press and everything. It's a whole different concept.
But, you know, as you were just saying earlier about bringing your video skills, I think what's very special about A Beautiful Life, and I know you've got some exciting news to share around another development that's just happened, is, you know, you bring your past experience in the beauty industry and your video experience to this. But you've also joined forces with Debbie Trumper, who's another one of our members. She is a retail expert and has been a buyer her whole life in the beauty industry. Can you tell us about the partnership that you have created together?
Yeah, I mean, we met late last year. Somebody introduced us, and I'm sure you all know what it's like. We just clicked. we just very similar sort of personalities, and just got on well, and met up to talk about some of her beauty brands that we now have on the site. And it was something she'd, you know, having worked as a beauty buyer her entire life, and working in this industry and working with smaller brands to try and get them into market, had been considering doing herself. She'd even registered a couple of site names to do it, but just hadn't got round to doing it. And so obviously I came along, and I'd actually almost done what she had been planning to do. And just through, this sounds so fashion PR beauty industry, we were having lunch in Harvey Nichols before Christmas, and it just randomly came up in conversation, and I just sort of said, well, I've not been looking for an investor, but if it's something you're interested in, I'd probably be interested in talking to you about it, you know. And so over Christmas we both gave it some thought and were messaging each other, and it just became obvious that this was something we wanted to do. It was just a matter of how we're going to do it, and we both sort of agreed from the beginning this would work. Our combination of skills coming together with a love and passion for the beauty industry and a lot of knowledge of it, but completely different backgrounds. So actually the two of us together will hopefully be a powerful force to do even more for this industry. So it's very exciting. It's not officially announced, but obviously we're both members, so we agreed it was okay to let you guys know. We're just literally signing the papers almost, so it's going ahead. It's just a matter of the boring legal stuff.
No, and it's so exciting, and I think what is particularly special about that is this collaboration piece and coming together, you know, that I think so many people have realized over the last couple of years, that there's this opportunity to work together and to collaborate, rather than to be competitive.
Yeah.
You know, looking at how you can bring your respective skill sets together for real benefits to your industry, which you absolutely will be doing. And I think all of those brands and the brands that ultimately will continue to join you are going to benefit from that experience that Debbie brings from her industry, and, you know, being a buyer, which is such a hard element of the industry to crack, I think, to understand what buyers really want. But then you also being a mouthpiece for all of these brands and curating their products.
I mean, between the two of us, we've joked and said there's probably, between the two of us, not someone who doesn't know one of us. So, you know, we've both been in the industry for this amount of time. So, and she's got, you know, I mean, she's she used to be chair of COPRA, which is the Cosmetics, Perfume and Retailers Association, who does the COPRA Ball every year, which is a sort of industry go-to. About 600 people in the beauty industry go to it each year, and then there's the lunch and everything. So she's no longer chairing COPRA, but she's still obviously Debbie Trumper Consultancy, which works with beauty brands to grow them. But she's still on the panel and still organises the COPRA Awards. So she's very well known in the beauty industry just from that. And so we'll certainly be able, hopefully, use that element of it to, I mean, initially I thought it was just going to be sort of independent brands. And one thing I have really learnt and prepared, I mean, I'm changing constantly over the last year, just adapting, is that it's good for the smaller brands sometimes to have some bigger brands on there, and well-known brands, still ones that we recommend, but they will then bring the consumer to the website where they can then discover the smaller ones. So something I've learned massively is that will be a good thing to do. So hopefully we'll be able to secure, there's lots of very well-known and very well-established British beauty brands that will come on board, and actually a lot of them like the idea of actually supporting some of those smaller brands. That certainly in the beauty industry, it is quite, people want to support each other, and actually the bigger brands and the people who work for bigger brands really want to help and support the smaller sort of entrepreneurs and really do that. And it's a nice time that people are coming together and going, do you know what? We're a British brand ourselves. We started off quite small. We want to help some of the smaller ones to make it too. There isn't that fiercely competitive thing anymore. That competition will be there anyway. So it's just a matter of actually feeling good and doing something to help, which certainly is how I feel right now. I mean, this is probably more lifestyle than trying to make my millions, because otherwise I wouldn't just keep it to British, and I wouldn't sort of just keep it to sort of curated selection. But people really, really want that. And actually, there's been other people who've done it in the past, which I didn't even consider when I was setting this up, who've almost then got too big and lost that appeal. So there's this sort of, apparently, a bit of a demand for you know, an e-tailer that actually cares about them. And I literally know all the founders of all the brands, and actually, as I've said, each brand is like a person. We're all different. So I want to work with each of those brands differently to actually promote their particular brand and what's unique about them, rather than put your brand on our website and forget about you. And if you bring in the money, great. And if not, you can go, which is pretty much how it is on a lot of e-commerce sites.
And I mean, in terms of, it's interesting because you've been sharing lots of kind of advice and things that you've learned along the way. And one of the things that I've picked up from what you were just talking about now is this concept of agility and not being too stuck on what you decided to do in the beginning.
Yeah.
Would that be something that you would advise other founders to go with?
Definitely. I mean, I used to hate it when, certainly at the beginning, everyone had their sort of piece to add, you know, oh, have you thought about this, and have you thought about that, and you should try this, and you should do this. And at first there was a sort of certain defense in me that, no, I know what I'm doing, don't just keep telling me how to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I soon got over that and realized that some of these ideas aren't right, but it's good to keep a note of them all, because actually, as I've learned, which I have, I've realized that certain things I thought were going to be the best way to do things aren't. And I think a lot of that comes with age as well. I'm coming up to 46, and you're not so, your ego isn't so important. You just think, do you know what, I don't know everything. You know, I've got a good instinct for what's right in this industry, but there's lots of areas I don't. So if somebody's got a huge background in something that I don't, then I should really listen to them, because they're offering me good advice and they want to help. They're not just trying to be arrogant and go, I know better. They're actually really love what we're doing and want to support it and actually help in any way they can. So I'd be stupid to ignore that, really, and not take that help and that advice.
So we need to be agile, and we also need to surround ourselves with good people.
Yeah.
And not be afraid to ask for help, because I think that's definitely
people love to be able to help.
Yeah.
We all do. We all like to think that somebody sees us as someone that really knows their stuff in order to be able to ask them. So when you're asked for advice, it's quite flattering in a way that people trust me and that I know what I'm talking about. And it's just a natural human instinct, isn't it, to just help people. It's that feel-good factor of really doing your bit to help other people and motivate them and feel good. You know, I'm meeting up with a lot of brands at the moment, and they've said at the end of the meeting how much they feel motivated just from getting together, and you know, and that's what's great, you know, about things like the women's chapter as well. Just one, knowing there are lots of other people who know what you're going through, and two, getting all kinds of bits of advice. I mean, the thing I love about women's chapter, because obviously there's lots of beauty industry networking things, but I've met lots of people in totally different industries, which I've been able to learn from and also work with. You know, it's something I've actually heard quite a lot about over the last sort of 6 months, that collaboration with similar sort of, you know, brands that are completely different but have a similar sort of target audience. And I think that's something that's definitely going to grow over the next sort of 6-12 months, working with completely different brands that you both are trying to target the same person is actually a really good way to do that, you know. And they can offer you bits of advice and contacts and all kinds of things, and joint events and all kinds of events like that really work well as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the power of strategic partnerships has really been exponential over the last 2 years, because people have limited budgets, but also I think audiences are crying out for multi-layered experiences and approaches where, you know, they can, if they're coming along to an event, as you were saying, whether it be virtual or in person, that they get to meet a variety of different people and their multiple layers of interest that have been considered as part of their experience. And I think it's forced a lot of business owners to really think about how we engage with our audiences, what kind of content we're sharing with them, what we're talking to them about, and that they're not just interested in our sector or our product or service. Of course, you know, they read multiple different kinds of publications, and someone who loves beauty is probably also someone who loves travel. You know, so I think it's really been a wake-up call for a lot of brands to think about how they can be far more creative in engaging their consumer audiences.
Definitely. And it's just being open-minded to that, you know,
absolutely.
Not sticking, you know, it used to be in the beauty industry, you just networked with beauty people and you just stuck in your little circle of beauty. And actually, I'm really enjoying meeting people from outside of that. and actually discussing ways how we can work together, because it opens up a whole new world, sort of, so to speak, that you don't necessarily know about or have even considered before. And moving forward, it's definitely something I want to look at, how we can do that.
Yeah. And also asking for help, as we were talking about, you know, going to someone who's outside of your industry to give you a perspective on how they might deal with an issue or challenge that you're facing. I think they're really very interesting insights that come out of those conversations, because what might work for one industry might not work for another, but it equally also might give us a different way of doing things, or a unique approach that might not usually have been applied to a certain
actually that can be quite good to do something completely differently. You know, I have a favorite Chanel quote, which I keep on so many things, which is, in order to be irreplaceable, one must always be different. And it's something I constantly tell myself and tell other people, that actually just copying everyone else is probably the worst thing you can do. To do it differently is, people want something different, so don't be scared to do things differently. I mean, our website's completely different in its look. You know, and there's a certain bravery in that. Was it too girly and feminine? But actually we've had lots of male customers shopping there, so it's obviously not putting them off, but just doing things differently. People actually want to see something a bit different and fresh. And it's always scary when you're on your own to do things differently, because it's easy to go, well, they've done it and it worked for them, so if we do it the same, it'll work for us. I've learned actually it's the opposite, that when you do things differently, that's what people really, really love. You've just got to be brave enough to do it, which isn't easy when it's your own money and everything else. But
but I think ultimately, I mean, and it's paid off for you, and it will continue to do so, that, you know, that if we put ourselves out there and we take considered risks, the payoff can be great, but very much in the spirit of being true to who you are and your passion. And I think A Beautiful Life definitely aligns your passion with your purpose, in championing British brands and giving people a really curated, beautiful place to go to discover new products. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask people, if you do have questions, please drop them in the chat, and we'll carry on chatting, and I'll keep an eye here on the chat box, because I think we've got about 10 minutes left. So if you do have any questions for Lydia, pop them in there. Of course, afterwards you will be sent a link, and I will copy Lydia in on the email so that you can contact her directly if you like to, because I'm sure there are some brands here today that will probably be interested in talking to you about featuring on Beautiful Life. But yeah, if you've got any questions, any industry related questions or otherwise, please pop them in here. Lydia, I'd be interested to know, do you have any take on what trends we're going to be seeing when it comes to beauty and wellness products going forward? I mean, what are you seeing in terms of the buying habits of the consumers and people that are coming to your site? Have you developed any insights around that might be of interest?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, wellness is obviously a key thing that's coming through. People actually caring about what they're putting inside their body as well as outside. Definitely, you know, so many of the British brands particularly are sort of vegan, natural ingredients, which people are really warming to, that they're not, one, they want to know what they're putting on their skin as well. You know, they don't want just a pot filled with chemicals, and actually people are much more savvy now about what's in products, and they know that a lot of the sort of, you get what you pay for, and that is definitely true with beauty. If something is cheap, it's probably because it's got water that's named something else, and it's just filled with water and oils, and actually won't do anything good to your skin on a long-term basis. It might temporarily feel nice and moist when you put it on, but it won't actually do any good. And the one thing I've discovered with British brands is the content of ingredients is much higher, so the intensity of those oils is much stronger. And loads of sort of key things. I mean, CBD is a key thing that's coming through with so many skincare brands now, and the ones I've tried with CBD, you know, obviously it doesn't make you high at all. It does help to sort of relax your skin and just the effects I've had from some of the products I've tried with CBD in are incredible. You know, I mean, I've tried a lot of products in my time, and the ones where I've woken up and just gone, God, my skin feels incredible, often have been the ones with CBD in. And it's lasted. It's, you know, often you can put it on at night and then wake up in the morning and the skin feels a bit dry, and it doesn't actually feel like it's improved at all. With those products, I've woken up and felt glowing, and I read that a lot from consumers as well that have used products with CBD in, that they've wearing less makeup, which, you know, is a good thing, you know, that people feel that confident in their skin. And new ingredients are really coming through, you know, all kinds of random ingredients, but we're not just sticking to the same ones again. Brands are trying new interesting ingredients to be more on that sort of natural basis, I think. So finding alternatives to those chemicals that people turn to that can be found in natural ingredients, and it's something that's really coming through.
We've had a question actually from Rebecca. She's asking if you think you might ever do a pop-up, so a physical event or in-person event that maybe runs over, you know, a series of days for the brands on your platform.
It has been suggested. In fact, it's something I was talking about yesterday. There's a beauty networking thing called CEW, Cosmetic Executive Women, and I was meeting with them yesterday to talk about a lot of ideas, and that was something that came up and has come up before. I guess I wouldn't rule it out, but I also know the challenges. There was a similar sort of brand I've had just closed called Secology, which did a similar sort of thing, sort of pop-up shops around London, and they've obviously closed, so it didn't work for them. And a lot of the brands we had on our site did do things with them and didn't find success from it. So I was actually saying this yesterday, that I would do it, but I would want to make sure that if I did do it, that all of the ducks were in a row in terms of being able to properly promote it, have, most importantly, the right staff in those stores that can offer the advice, because it's useless otherwise if you don't have people there who are going to really be able to advise on all the different products and have had training on all the products. You know, with beauty products, people want expert advice, and if they come in and just shown a shelf, they won't buy, because they want to know why they should buy this product. You can read it on a website, whereas if you walk in a store and there's nobody there to really tell you about it, you can't sort of spend ages browsing. You need the right people in those stores. All kinds of elements. I won't rule it out, but I think you need to, if you're going to do it properly.
Brilliant. Does anyone else have any other questions? Oh, here, yes, we do, from Liana. What is your strategy to drive consumers to a beautiful life site?
Well, obviously, we haven't had huge budgets. You know, I've put a lot of money into this, so it's certainly the main focus for the next year. It's been a lot on social media. I have had friends who've sort of helped get press coverage, so we've done quite well on that. We've got a lot of people writing. You know, we've had lots of our brands featured, and we've had our sort of website underneath it. I don't necessarily think it's the best strategy for us, because it will make, if you've got a brand, it works quite well, because people will often just see the product and just Google it. They won't necessarily go to the website that's mentioned under it. It works sometimes online, and when we've been featured online and there's a link to go and buy it from our site. But I think the strategy that's worked really well for us, and one we want to really move forward with, is actually working together with each of the brands and actually doing a joint effort in terms of, we really promote them, but they promote what we're doing with them and encourage that on their social media. It is very much working together. And actually, for smaller brands, it worked quite well if we're sort of their exclusive kind of retailer, because they can almost use us as their e-commerce platform where they sell their products, and they can say you can buy your products at A Beautiful Life. and that's drawing a lot of people where they can't get the products lots of other places, then they will come to buy that product, and we work together on that. And certainly moving forward, we'll look at marketing opportunities where we can work with brands, and certainly obviously email campaigns, we're really trying to get stronger on that and promoting products on a sort of newsletter, but also doing newsletters about particular brands, and then writing blogs for us, and then being able to get a snippet of it in our emails that we send out to all our audience, and then they can click onto the website and read the full article. So that's on our campaign, and a lot of brands are currently writing some interesting articles, one even on CBD for us, where it's really educational blogs, not talking about products so much, but it will lead back to their product, but showing their expertise in these areas.
Brilliant. And in terms of just from a consumer perspective, how does it work in terms of pricing? Would someone find would a product be the same price on your site as it would be on the individual brand's website?
It's a constant battle, definitely. You know, when we've done things like sort of free postage and stuff, that's, if they don't have that on the actual brand's website, then sometimes we've got more sales through that avenue. A lot of people will register. You get 15% off when you register for our emails, so a lot of people are doing that in order to get the 15% off if that's not advertised on the site. Again, it's something I've spoken to a few brands about, because they're doing lots and lots of promotions elsewhere, and it's sort of saying to them, well, you can't expect us to sell lots of your products if you're doing big promotions on lots of other places, because automatically people will go there. So I think it's very important that whole joint working together is going to be a key thing moving forward, and actually working out a marketing plan together. You know, we've got this product, we want to really promote that this month, and we'll offer a discount on our site at the same time they're doing, and really try and work with them to push that brand that month.
Brilliant, thank you. Before we end off, and if anyone has any last questions, pop them in, but I would like to finish with a round of quickfire questions, which I always ask our female founders, because this gives everyone a little bit more insight into you as Lydia. What or who inspires you?
So many people inspire me, which is, as I said, why I'm always keen to meet lots of other sort of female entrepreneurs and hear their stories. Certain people in the beauty industry have inspired me. I know you mentioned her earlier, Tracy Woodward's one. I met way back when I worked for a beauty magazine, and she was at Harrods sort of managing their urban retreat spa, and I've known her over the years. Just somebody that's just constantly positive and has not let anything stand in her way. I mean, she started off working on the sort of beauty counters, which is what I did. You know, I didn't go to university. I just knew I wanted to work in beauty, and went and did beauty therapy, then trained as a makeup artist and moved to London to do that, and never actually ended up doing that, just ended up landing working for a magazine, and then just that sort of developed into a sort of marketing, communications, events type career. But she had a similar background, and I guess it's always nice to see someone else who's started that. She just didn't do well at school, worked on a makeup counter, and she ended up being sort of head of sales at companies like Estee Lauder, and then she was head of beauty at M&S, and she literally recreated their whole beauty department for M&S, and is now working for different beauty brands, and is probably one of the most respected people in the beauty industry. And she left school with no qualifications, but just had a love for this industry. So I think she inspires me, because similar sort of background, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, and she's amazing. We've had Tracy speak at our events before, actually. And for anyone who doesn't know her, she's an absolute force, and always receptive to conversations with new people and to help out. So, so definitely look out for her on LinkedIn. What is your biggest fear?
I don't have a very good sense of fear, in that I've had so many different health concerns that I've dealt with throughout my childhood, and even now as an adult I have epilepsy, and still suffer with that, you know, at least one seizure a month generally.
Wow.
So it's something I have to live with on a day-to-day basis. So my sense of fear is probably not as strong, and I'm told that from a lot of doctors. I've always just had a go at things and not been scared to try things. I mean, probably I hate doing things in front of large people, just from those old childhood insecurities of sort of constantly being told I wasn't very good and wasn't very clever, and always have this fear that people are going to judge me. But I think through the years I've just realized, you know, lots of pieces of advice people have given me, well, you'll probably never see half these people again, so if you look stupid, it doesn't matter, because probably most of them you'll never see again. And two, if they're people that are going to judge you or make their decisions about you based on that, then they're probably not people you want in your life anyway. And those kind of two elements have made me be less scared, although my husband helps on that, in terms of just encouraging me to just try things. And where I wouldn't have tried things, I am trying lots of things and just giving it a go. And if I can't do it, then what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, well, that's thank you for sharing that with us, Lydia. That's really inspirational. And I think, as you were talking about the judgment piece, most of the people that judge us or pass judgment are the ones that don't have the courage that we have in the first place.
No.
You know, it's very easy to pass comments from the background, but for those people that are actually out there giving it a go, like you have been, and clearly that's very much a part of, because my next question was going to be, do you have a mantra that you live by? And would that be give it a go?
Pretty much, yeah. You know, I've always, probably all my school reports said I was a bit of a dreamer. You know, I've always aspired, I guess, for great things, and always wanted great things, and I've not been scared to try things throughout my career. And it's actually, I'm now in a position where so many people trust me, and that's a very reassuring sort of thing, and that just keeps me going, really. That, you know, what's the worst that can happen? That's probably my biggest motto. What's the worst that can happen? And actually, then why not go for it?
Yeah, well, if anything, the last 2 years have taught us that life is short, and we need to push our boundaries and try new things and make use of the time that we have.
Definitely.
You know, the time we have is not guaranteed.
I mean, I very much believe in that. You know, I'm not religious at all. I very much believe that we're only here once. You only get one chance. The things of looking back and having no regrets, definitely. I'm somebody who generally lives each day for day. I don't look too far ahead and just go with the flow and try things.
Oh, amazing. My last question is, do you have a guiltless pleasure?
Shopping. Shopping and Prosecco, probably. Very typical of this industry, I think.
Yeah. Well, Lydia, thank you so much. It's been wonderful talking to you today. So much inspiration, so many really valuable pieces of advice that you shared with us today, which I think for the people in the room, our virtual room, has been invaluable. And you may well get some questions from people afterwards. But really, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. But
thank you for having me.
And your passion. It's infectious. So hopefully everyone will have a chance at some point today to hop onto A Beautiful Life and have a look at what you have built and created as the champion.
Absolutely. If you need any advice, then I pretty much know all the brands. So pop me an email as well if you want advice on which products to use, or and obviously, being Women's Chapter members, if you do want to buy anything, just pop me an email as well and I'll give you a discount code.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lydia. Thank you to everyone who's joined us.
I'll see you all at the next event.
Yes, definitely. And we're going to be having lots of in-person events as well, actually, coming up. So there'll be far more opportunities for us to actually meet in person as well, because I think we are all reaching that point where we're a little bit zoomed out.
Yeah. Look forward to it.
Brilliant. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks so much, Michelle. Thanks.
Brilliant. Cheers. Cheers, Lydia.